Welcome to another episode of Monetize with Marcus. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you how I went from selling a $100 product to a $10,000 product. You're not going to want to miss this. The secret might shock you, but you can do the same thing in one simple step.
My goal is to help coaches and entrepreneurs turn their mind into money, teaching them how to take what they know, package it, market it, sell it, and automate it to make a massive income and massive impact, even if they don't have a lot of followers on social media.
So, in today's episode, people ask me all the time, what was that breakout moment for me in business? Like, how do you go from selling a $100 product? And I'm sure you might be there, where you get started and you think that it is noble and the best thing you can do is be the cheapest. So you compete with everyone and you think, let's say Miss Ann sells hers for $100, you sell yours for $98.90. Miss Ann finds out and she lowers her price to $97. So you're fighting for the bottom to be the absolute cheapest, hoping that it will increase things. So I'm going to show you how I made the same mistake. Now, when I started, maybe you need to hear my journey. I think I got a few. This is one of my books here. So when I started, and this is not a plug, I don't market books anymore, but I'll tell you my journey, this whole online business piece and kind of how far we go back with it. When I started, my journey started with writing books. I wasn't coaching. I wasn't thinking about this whole online piece. I just knew that I wanted to write a book since I was a kid. I remember being much younger. I saw my father in a bookstore, and he actually owns one too, or did. And you know how you're a kid and you want your family's attention, and my dad is looking at books. I'm like, Dad, I'm going to write a book when sure you are. Move, son, move. You know, that kind of thing. But I still remember registering it in my head and saying, one day I'm going to write a book. I'm maybe 10 or 11. For years, I wanted to. And I did what most people do when they have great ideas. Every year, tell people about it, but don't do anything about it. So at a certain point, your friends don't even believe it anymore. Girl, you know. So they start, when you going to do that? So then when you finally do it, or you're in the process, you're wanting them to celebrate you. You're like, hey, I wrote chapter 1. They're not going to celebrate you because you know how many times you told them you were going to do it and didn't finish it, didn't complete it, didn't execute. So that's what happened. Every year I would say I was going to write a book, never wrote it. Tragic thing happened, got in a really bad accident, and finally decided I almost died in the car. This is no cap at all. Got hit by a car into a flatbed truck, and it messed up the car really bad, fractured my wrist, messed up my back. I'm talking my neck and my back. Everything was hurting. We've got to pause right there because I'm in the giving mood. I decided to offer you a free gift, absolutely free. Now, I tell you all the time about turning your ideas into online income, but how am I going to tell you to do something and not provide the resource for it? There's so many questions that people have online about what should I post? How do I get my engagement up? How do I get people to click the link in my bio, buy from me? What should I sell, whether it's an ebook, an online course? How much should I charge? How do I launch? How do I do a webinar? You see what I'm saying? So I decided to create a free training and give it to you that you can utilize to learn how to literally take the services that you do or the ideas you have and build a successful online company. Go to www.monetizewithmarcus.com, my gift to you. You're welcome. Soon as I got that cast off my wrist, I made a decision. I said, I'm going to do all the things I always wanted to do in case anything ever happened to me. I want people to hear what I thought, what I felt, that kind of thing. I wasn't thinking about business. I wasn't thinking about money. I was thinking about people. And I said, what's the thing that changed my life? It was my time management piece. Like I overcame and defeated procrastination. I was like the biggest procrastinator ever in life. And I overcame it because in 2010, I started making myself every day set aside 2 hours and 40 minutes to execute on one thing, to learn something, to grow. So 5 years later, I'm an expert in this. I mean, not even a college student go to school for 5 years straight with no breaks. I did this for 5 years straight, no breaks, 2 hours and 40 minutes, chipping away at it. So I was like, why don't I teach people those 10 strategies to win in life? And that's where it came from. So I wrote out 10 different things and I said, here's how I'm going to do it. I wake up every day and I'm going to write a chapter a day for 10 days. Now, how do you get yourself to actually accomplish that? Here's what I did. I did what your mother did. Hey, Mom, I want to go to the park. You ain't doing nothing till you clean this house. She didn't say no, but she just made something you need to do connected to what you wanted. This is what I started learning about human behavior. The same things your mother did in your childhood, you have to do to yourself as an adult. So I said, nope, I'm a YouTube fanatic still. No YouTube, No Instagram, no social media until I wrote one chapter. Well, with no TV, no Instagram, no YouTube, well, since I've got nothing to do, I might as well write this chapter. Just like that, I started day 1, first chapter. Day 2, second chapter. Then certain days, by day 3, day 4, it felt good, and I wrote 2 chapters in a day. Literally, in 10 days, I wrote 213 pages. I cut it all the way back to about 100 and something pages, and that became Win the Day. Now imagine, here's the big point in this, and I'm going to kind of go into how this whole online piece started. Here's the big point in this. 10 days, at the time I'm working at Florida State, they was trying to pay your boy like $40,000 a year. Please don't hear it wrong to those who say that's a lot of money. I get it at this point, but I'm saying at now, what I have to pay out, $40,000 is different for me now than it was back then. At the time, that was all the money in the world. That was my finish line. If I made that, I was crazy enough to think if I made $40,000, I was going on vacations. I was going to live next door to Donald Trump before he was president and we hated him. Like back when we actually, okay, never mind. But I really thought it was so much, and that's what I was chasing. I wrote that book 10 days. You follow me? 10 days. Packaged it, published it, put it out. And the very first weekend of my book being out, I bought 1,000 copies. I sold 1,000 copies at $20. I made $20,000. Now keep this in mind. They offered me $40,000 for the year. I just wrote something in 10 days that just bought 11 months. I'm like, ooh, whoa, whoa. Imagine that moment where you're like, hold on, I sold 1,000 copies of something that took me 10 days. That moment on, I was mentally unemployable. Mentally, I couldn't wrap my mind around you pay me per year, per month, or per hour, because I realized my skill set there they wasn't cheating me. My skill working there, I only had a skill they really was overpaying. My skill may have been worth $9, $10 an hour for what I was doing. But my skill in book writing and communicating was unlimited. So they didn't cheat me. I cheated myself by not using my gift and charging appropriately. So over there, see, I like singing. Beyonce get paid millions, but me singing is not worth the same amount of money. And this is the thing I'm trying to tell you of how you increase your value and your revenue by doing the thing that you're actually gifted at. When I wrote that book and I realized, okay, that's a game changer, it hit me. Why don't I, this whole podcast episode is not dating back to my mother. Shout out to her. I would say, Ma, I think I need something to wear. I don't have nothing to wear. Well, go in that closet and see what you have first. She never bought new things without you searching your closet to see what you actually have. So I did the same thing. I was like, if I wrote a book in 10 days, what else do I have to talk about? I just kept writing. Same process. Map it out, write it. Map it out, write it. I treated it like a conversation. 3.5 months later, I wrote 23 books. 23 books in different genres. You got this actually took me 2 weeks. But you got The Heart Diary was written in 1 day at Starbucks on Acres Mill right by Smyrna. Right, that's where that one was written. Cuffing Season, I was in Mexico, written in 2 days. Like, just imagine the journey to success. 2 days is not enough. How to make the week feel like the weekend. Never going broke. How to increase your personal wealth that you're more valuable. Like all these different books. I started just writing. Now, somebody's like, Marcus, you told us that you're going to teach us how you went from $100 to $10,000, but you're telling me about these books. I'm getting there. Here's my big point. I still was not thinking about growing a company. It was a personal development exercise. I wrote the book, then I wrote 23 books. I then decided after writing that many books, guess what happens? When you hear this now, first thing, you're like, I want to write a book. Immediately when you heard how many I wrote, you took interest in how did I write that many? That's what started happening. So the first thing I did was say, well, why don't I teach people how to write books? This is what got me into coaching. I was like, well, shoot, I got a process to be able to develop your title, develop your subtitle, overcome writer's block, map out your subsections, market your book, pitch your book for episodes on radio and TV because I was on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS. I knew all the types of publishing, traditional, subsidiary, vanity, self-publishing. I was like, man, I know quite a bit. What is binding? What is margins? How do you find a copywriter? How many pages do you actually need to bind a 6x9 versus a 5x8? That's a lot of knowledge. So I said, I ought to take that and teach people how to do it. I didn't call it coaching. Yo, this was freeconferencecall.com. It wasn't no Instagram Live. It wasn't no Facebook Live. I used Craigslist, freeconferencecall.com, and Periscope. You should quit working for free. How did social media hire all of us to be their workforce? We're on the app posting videos, going live, creating reels. We do not get paid when we create content on social media. They do, by selling our content to advertisers. But how do you actually build an online business using social media? I want to break it down for you and give you access to it. There's 5 simple steps. I'll tell it to you in a few seconds. Step number 1 is client attraction. I'm going to show you how to actually attract clients that will happily pay you what you're offering. Step number 2, how to capture them. How do you get their emails? How do you get their phone numbers? How do you get them to show up to your event? Be on your Zoom calls. To what I refer to as client dating. It's where you nurture a relationship with people to get them to say yes to whatever you're offering. And I'm even going to show you what type of content to create that gives you brand visibility and brand recognition. I call it social media secrets. You get access wherever you're watching this video. You'll see it in the description and you'll see it beneath this. Let's get back to the episode. Right. That's how far back we're going. And just like that, I sold it for $100. 38 people signed up. I made $3,800, and I pulled out my laptop, had my cell phone, and it was every hour. I mean, it was every Monday for 4 weeks. It was called Your 30-Day Book: How to Write and Publish a Book in 30 Days. And just like that, 7 to 8, 4 hours for the month, $3,800. They said, so what do we do next? I was like, well, I mean, I can show you how to turn your book into a business. My first book was called Win the Day. My company is called Win the Day Marketing Group. Yeah, I'll show you how to turn your book into a business. How to actually farm it. Upsold them at $200. About 11 people signed up. Now you're looking by month 2, we made another almost $4,000. Month 3, it hit me. Now remember, at this point, we only work 8 hours. 4 hours the first month, 4 hours the second month, and we made a little less than $8,000. I'm becoming more and more mentally unemployable because there's nobody that's going to hire me with my skill set to do that I can pay that much. Like, hold on, when do you work? 1 day a week for 1 hour. So how much money you want? About $4,000. Thank you. Don't call us. We'll call you. So here's the big idea, and I got to take you to this part. That's when month 3, I'm traveling all over the world. By 2016, I'm in 20 plus countries, going on 30 countries, speaking, training. People kept asking me, the question they asked me at first was, how did I write a book? The question they asked me second was, how did I form my business? The third question they asked me was, how are you speaking all over the place? And that's when I formed 𝗕𝗂𝘀 Academy. Now, you notice how it's just a personal development exercise. We went from teaching them how to write a book because we wrote a book, teaching them how to form a business because we formed a business, to teaching them how to speak. So I got the bright idea to say Monday from 7 to 8, Your 30-Day Book. Tuesday from 7 to 8, Entrepreneur Academy. Thursday from 7 to 8, 𝗕𝗂𝘀 Academy. And just like that, I literally then moved to start making 5 figures a month. Now, let's end this episode with that big thing. How did I go from $100 to $10,000? Y'all are not going to believe this. I added some zeros. That was it. Same $100 program. I now was so good at it, so confident, so sure of my process, because now I could teach you how to write a book, how to promote it, how to publish it, how to get speaking engagements, and how to form a business. Tied it all in together and charged $10,000. I added a zero. That's the secret to how I went from $100 to $10,000 and the story behind it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Monetize with Marcus. But most importantly, what I hope you take away from this episode is it's never going to be about how much money you need, but it's always about your personal journey and what you can offer to other people. I'll see you in the next episode of Monetize with Marcus.